This one's for the people who are easily triggered. Pair of entitled mothers try to shut down a festival and pepper spray my boyfriend over cultural appropriation. This story starts yesterday afternoon with me and my boyfriend going to a Japanese cultural festival. The festival gets held every year at some kind of large temple cultural center. But this is my first time going. I've wanted to go for the past few years, but for one reason or another, something else always came up that prevented me from going. So needless to say, I'm pretty excited to go now that the stars have perfectly aligned for me to go. There are all sorts of activities going on both in and outside the building when we arrive. Music, food, educational speakers, presentations, etc. And me and my boyfriend spend a day having a great time. Eventually, we end up at a booth that allows people to take pictures in traditional Japanese attire. We both dress up in a yukata, and at the end, the person running the booth tells us if we would like to purchase our own kimonos or yukata, that they have a vendor that is selling them. I think it's pretty cool, so we end up checking it out and I end up purchasing one for me and my boyfriend, both of us putting them on right away. We then end up heading to go to get some food when someone calls out to us with, "Excuse me." And we turn around and see two women with a kid. One of them is a white woman, entitled mother number 1, and the other appears to be Asian, entitled mother number 2. Both of them have obnoxiously brightly colored hair and are wearing frick hate shirts.
Hi there. Can I just ask if either of you are of Japanese descent?
I'm not sure about him, I say jokingly. I'm not.
Well then why do you feel like you have the right to wear that?
I don't understand.
It's called cultural appropriation and it's wrong. So you need to take those off and never wear them again.
Excuse me?
It's just that you guys aren't Japanese, so you shouldn't be wearing those outfits. Japanese culture isn't your fashion statement.
This keeps going for about 2 minutes. The two seems to have a routine where EM1 is the aggressor and constantly throwing out accusation and labels, while EM2 is just retrying to guilt trip us. EM1 is getting angrier by the second. We try walking away at one point, but EM1 blocks our path.
Don't walk away from me!
Their kid starts crying, probably because his mom just yanked the heck out of his arm and is screaming at strangers on a hot day.
Now you're upsetting our son.
Please, just leave us alone. We bought these at a festival and you're being ridiculous. The staff member comes over since this is starting to cause a scene, and EM2 starts speaking to one of them, presumably in a Japanese, while the other is stuck with EM1 berating him, telling him that they should be ashamed of themselves and how they shouldn't allow things like this, etc. Meanwhile, EM2 says she's calling the police to shut down the festival. At this point, we try to get out of there. EM1 spots us trying to leave and then tries to grab my boyfriend, who just knocks her hand away. EM1 suddenly pulls out pepper spray and sprays it at my boyfriend, getting him right in the eyes. Shockingly, they don't stick around for when the police show up. They take our statement of what happened, but unfortunately this place doesn't have security footage and nobody was recording the incident. We made it very clear that we wanted to press charges, but so far we haven't heard anything. After that, we went over to the hospital to make sure my boyfriend won't have any lasting eye damage. I'll keep this updated if anything changes.
Babies! Adult babies! That's right, we've grown up to a point where we can all be easily offended by anything as long as it slightly relates to us in any form or fashion or our culture. These individuals weren't misrepresenting the culture they were currently dressed at. They were actually dressed in traditional garb at a festival to celebrate said culture. Almost any other country, if you were to dress up in their culture during a festival, you're honoring their culture. But here, it's cultural appropriation. Why would we do such a terrible thing where we go to honor someone else's culture by celebrating it with them in their traditional garb? Why would we do such a thing? It's ridiculous, I know. Pepper spraying someone because you grabbed their hand and you didn't agree with them is considered assault. And yes, they could go to jail for that. Absolutely. Well, at least the assaulter. Also to the individual who wrote this, if the people that were in this particular disagreement, we'll call it, are the ones who made the call, the police have their phone number. So you might be able to work off of that. That's just my personal opinion. But hey, it could have been worse. They could have been dressed up in traditional garb, rammed through the streets, acting like total jackasses, and then posting it to their millions of subscribers they have. Why does this guy still have a channel?
My own entitled mother put me in the hospital. Okay, so a friend suggested I put this in here because it's an interesting story. I don't have the best relationship with my parents, but we no longer have a toxic home life. Things have definitely gotten better and people grow and improve themselves as they grow older. A few years back, my mother treated me like a slave. Full on Cinderella do this, Cinderella do that. I did my best to keep up, but with school and homework, I was falling behind. Because of this, Mom decided that if I couldn't stay on top of everything while sleeping, I'd stay awake until it was done. I was cleaning the house from top to bottom, washing and sweeping the floors, wiping down the counters, washing the dishes used during the day. From there, I was doing 2 hours of homework at night before I could sleep. This led me to spending many sleepless nights and going to school tired. On the day this happened, I hadn't slept properly for 2 weeks. I'd been on and off napping when I could get the time to. My teachers were understanding that I was tired, passing it off as exams being super stressful for me, and I was allowed to take it easy. I was going downstairs with my friend when I got dizzy and I took another step and then must have collapsed. The next hour was a blur. I remember being crowded by people. There was so much noise, and I didn't know what was going on. At one point, I felt myself being moved and then lifted off the ground. It was then that I blacked out. I was just so tired, and I just wanted to sleep. When I woke up again, it was super bright in the room, and there was beeping. I nearly panicked because I didn't know where I was. But a doctor who had been checking on me helped me calm down. He asked me some questions and then said that my parents were here, and he'd send them in so we could have some time together. Now, I didn't expect sympathy or anything, and my mother isn't that kind of person. But I at least expected decency. But nope, Mother stormed in and demanded to know what I was playing at. I didn't know how to respond and didn't have a chance to continue. The following is as close to what I can remember.
I got a call from your frickin' school saying that you had fallen downstairs. They probably think I'm abusing you now, and social services will be on our backs, and it's your fault. You better tell the doctors that you're frickin' fine, and you were just playing on your phone all night.
Now, I was confused. Why was she yelling at me? It wasn't my fault, but I knew better than to defend myself, so I just apologized. A day later, and the doctors discharged me, telling me to rest more. I wish I could say things got better quick, but they definitely improved over time, and my parents have long since apologized and stopped acting like a-holes.
Believe it or not, kids are actually put under a lot of pressure to perform. Not just by their teachers, but by their parents as well. And if the parents are leaning on them harder than the teachers, it gets to a point where they'll break. There is a breaking point. A child, as flexible as they can be mentally, they are still a child. And eventually, you're going to push them too far, and they're not going to be able to handle what you dish out. So I completely empathize with this kid, and I feel so bad that this kid couldn't speak out about any of the situation that was going on. And I really do hope that at the end of this, they did find solace in being able to finally communicate with their family and also get the sleep they needed.
Entitled mother leaves her kid 6 train carriages away while she tries to steal our seats. So myself and my girlfriend were coming back from Paris after my brother's wedding. We took the Eurostar both ways, but on the way there, we went standard class. My girlfriend and I were paying for the return and thought we'd go for it by upgrading to standard premier, which is slightly more expensive than normal standard, but we don't go to Paris very often. There was a third option, business premier, but we're not made of money. The main differences between standard and standard premier are that the standard is pretty cramped, and with standard premier, you get extra legroom. And with regular standard, you don't have to go and buy food on board, but with standard premier, you get food and drinks at your seat. The different options are divided into different carriages. Standard carriages are 1 to 5, premier is 7 to 12, and 14 to 18 are also standard. The girlfriend and I get to the train. Our seats are in the carriage towards the middle, and we're in one of the rows nearest to the door. We get settled in our seats, ready to leave, when EM approaches. All paraphrasing, EM seemed nice at first, but it didn't last.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I'm terribly sorry to ask this of you, but I hope you don't mind. Yes?
My daughter and I are traveling and we got put a bit far back.
She has a bad leg and we need to be a bit closer to the doors and we can't be getting up to get food and drink. Oh, poor her. I broke my leg a couple years back and that was awful. Had to have crutches and everything. How old is she? She's 8. She really in a bad way, but she's such a trooper. It would be just so much easier if it would be a bit further forward.
Where are you at?
Just a little further back.
She gestures vaguely behind us and I get suspicious at this point. Yeah, but where specifically? What carriage number?
I think it was 3.
Now, we're in coach 10. This is a significant distance. Additionally, coach 3 is standard seating only. Isn't 3 standard class?
Well, yes, but my daughter needs the seats.
My girlfriend catching on to EM's plan.
Look, we're not unsympathetic, but we sort of paid extra for these seats.
Also, where's your kid?
I'm going back to get her once I've sorted the seats. So, can I tell her it's sorted?
We've not agreed to anything. Isn't coach 3 closer to the front than 10? If it's about proximity, wouldn't you be better off in coach 2?
No, she needs the legroom too. And she can't keep getting up the hill. You look like you can afford it.
Not really. We were only splashing out this once as it was my brother's wedding.
Look, are you going to give me the seats or not?
My girlfriend, in this oversweet voice she does that usually indicates she's on her last nerve with someone.
It sounds like you're actually further up than we are. If the legroom is an issue, then I'm sure we can speak to someone. I'm pretty sure your coach has priority boarding. I'll help you find someone, sort something out. It's really no trouble.
My girlfriend gets up and leads EM back to her coach with EM grumbling the whole time. My girlfriend comes back about 5 minutes later and tells me that the daughter, who is not at all entitled, is also totally fine and no way has a bad leg. Apparently, the daughter straight ran up to the entitled mother and my girlfriend when they came into the carriage, and the girlfriend said the kid was way too young to be left on her own, and that they were actually pretty close to the front of the train. But nothing else happened after that. No stopping, calling the police, assault of any kind. The entitled mother just went back to her seat. But the girlfriend and I thought we saw her walk through the carriage before ours a little while later to speak to someone in there, so maybe she was trying it again with someone else.
What gets me on this one was the couple were so nice to even just communicate with this lady, despite how persistent she was. I mean, honestly, they gave a lot more information than I would have, because personally, why I got these seats and where I'm coming from is none of your business. What I did love was the girlfriend in this one taking the initiative and actually going to help the mother to find out the mother was just lying the entire time. And gosh darn it, I really hope no one else fell for that garbage. But those are all the stories today. I know this one's a little bit longer than they usually are, and we did hit on a hot button topic, and I try to steer away from those, but sometimes they find their way into these, and I find them interesting to talk about. So please tell me what your favorite story is. Also tell me what your personal opinions are in the comment section below. I always look forward to reading them. And if you're new here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to ring that little bell icon. Don't forget to leave a like. And don't forget to tie your shoes when you leave the house, because if you step on them, you'll trip and fall. When you're driving, make sure your gas gauge doesn't go below halfway down, because if it does, I mean, like, eventually you're going to forget, and then you're going to be left in the middle of nowhere without gas. Forget to lock the door when you leave, and honestly, also in reality, if you can, please share this video with as many people as you can. It definitely helps. Comments and likes, everything you guys do for here definitely helps. So I thank you guys very much for watching, and I thank you very much for following along. You've all been great. You've all been fantastic. And as usual, and as always, my friends, stay frosty and keep moving forward.